don't react. The pins goes through the soft sand, then it knows it's soft sand. But as soon as it's hard sand, the pins are pushed up because the pins won't penetrate the hard sand. And then either it has to when it walks parallel to the coast and it can navigate a little bit, they have on a sort of resistance on one side, it can put a tube into the sand so it goes slower and steer a little bit away from the soft sand because they like it most to walk with the wind on the hard sand. And when the wind is parallel to the coast, they can do this for a long time. And I see them as a sort of migration animals over the hard sand. So, for instance, there's a beast in Kijkduin, which is a little village south of Scheveningen where I live. And the winter southwest, it walks along the coast. And as soon as it arrives in Scheveningen, and it knows it has arrived in Scheveningen because there's a step counter on it. So there's a leg connected with a pump. And while walking, it pumps air into a soda bottle, and then you can imagine that the pressure in that bottle is rising, and as soon as it goes beyond a certain level, the animal knows it has arrived in Scheveningen, then it goes with its ski poles, driven by pressed air, to the soft sand, and waits on the soft sand until the wind has turned 180 degrees. Then, which might take a few weeks, but these animals are incredibly patient. They don't care about it. They don't care about us, you see. So when the wind has turned 180 degrees, they go with their ski poles back to the hard sand, and then they turn and they catch the wind and they walk back to Kijkduin. So they migrate between Kijkduin and Scheveningen, and you cannot predict when they're going to do that, apart from the wind predictors, of course. Yes?
Are you still using evolutionary simulation to evolve the neural system? And are you still using the Atari computer to do it?
I have to deny both questions because the Atari, I think it still works. I think the on-off switch doesn't work anymore. But I think that it still works inside, but I don't use it anymore. No, I had a serious computer addiction in the 90s, and then I discovered what I'm not doing, and I want to be out there in the wind and in the rain, and since then I don't use computers anymore. So I made them just by trial and error. Yes?
You have a mechanism that drives the stick into the ground and get blown away.
Yeah.
What takes the stick back out?
Yeah, there are sort of, the stick has a shape of a tube which goes in the ground. On top is something rectangular, and as soon as it's beaten in, and then as soon as it wants to get out, it moves there's a piston connected to that rectangular part, so it turns the tube and it's pulled. That usually works, but I must say it works only a few times, and it's not operational. It's not really working every day, and that's happening with all the things in the Strand East. That because people they think that these animals are already living at the Dutch coast. I'm sorry, it's not that far yet. I still have to work on that. Yes. The question is how many strands did I make? I'm working now on number 39. So in winter I make the strand beast, and then comes spring and I bring him to the beach. So just a few weeks ago I brought the animal to the beach, and then during the summer I do all kinds of experiments, and at the end of the summer I declare the animal extinct. They are dead. Because I don't like to repair. I just want to make a new animal again, and that happens in October. The animal goes to the boneyard, and this boneyard, since a few years, they are adopted by exhibitions. So this traveling exhibition here in the United States, which opens at the Exploratorium, has just extinct animals. But we can reanimate the animal by pumping it up with a compressor. And it comes alive for a few moments in the museum. And you could see this as a Jurassic Park experiment. And so the wings come alive, and the tail come alive, and the animal walks with its ski poles in the Exploratorium. So 39, the answer was 39, yeah. Yes?
Pass the mic here so you guys can hear it. Where are you going, Theo?
There's the lady asking me this.
So, how do you actually transport the animals? Because they're too big to put in any car.
Yeah, but I cut them in big pieces of 2 by 3 meters. And so going to the beach, for instance, I put a piece like that in the trailer behind my car and drive to the beach and put it on the beach. And I have to drive several times, of course. And overseas they go in sea containers because they turn out to have the right size of a sea container. And they go by boat to everywhere. Yeah?
There's one right over here in the blue shirt that has the microphone.
Yes, hello.
Hello. How many lyres does most of the strong beast brains have?
The animal in the Exploratorium has 9 lyres. Every ski pole has one, and there is a very primitive brain consisting of 2 lyres, and that's regulating the frequency with which the ski poles are activated.
How about passing the mic that way to that guy with his hand up there? Let's do collaborative audience.
Yeah.
Thank you. When you were doing the evolution process, before you started that, how did you know the overall design? Like how many tubes you would need, how many, what general arrangement they would be in before you found those perfect lengths? How did you know the overall design?
Well, I didn't know. So, in fact, the whole process of my work is that I think I know how it works. And then I go to my studio and then I meet these tubes, and these tubes, they never want to do what I want to do. So they protest always against my plans. And the first animal, I've just recently seen it in Belgium. So it was just made of plastic sellotape joints, and it could only move its leg on its back. It had a very complicated leg system. It was based on a crankshaft in infinity. It was based on mathematics, I must say. And there was this night in 1991 that I couldn't sleep. And then the crankshaft came from infinity to the leg system. And then it turned out that this angle was more or less 90 degrees. And this fact that I saw this in my dream made suddenly a very simple leg system. And a few hours the same night I realized I had to write a computer program based on evolution to get the right numbers. So that, in fact, this is the nucleus of my work, and that was based in that night. Now, working with the tubes, you could see that I restrict myself very much in the choice of the materials. I don't want to use electronics or metal. When you're doing that, then you cannot really dictate to the material. The material dictates me. And so usually at the end of the day, I go home more or less disappointed because my plans didn't succeed. But by the experience with the tubes pushed me another way, you would say. And waking up the next day, I wake up with a new idea, but it's based on the experience with the tubes from the day before. And the path you could say, is very curly, very precious, and hard to predict. And in fact, at the end, when it's finished, none of my plans are realized. It are all the plans of the tubes, and the plans of the tubes turn out a lot better than my plans, because I'm surprised how beautiful these animals became, which I didn't try to make. It was just done by the tubes. And people praise me for that beauty, but I don't really feel responsible for it. It are the tubes who have their plans. And you have, oh, come on. Would you come back on stage? Oh, let's try. We have to do it very fast. We have only 2 bottles because one was leaking. Thank you so much, Mike. Yes, you put that on. We're going to do the show again. Hope it will. Oh my God, this will work. Yes, I've got it connected. You hold it here, right? So the sea is still standing there. The lyres are hanging there. So we're going slowly in this direction. Yeah. One more step. Okay. Now you're going to turn it on again. Let's loosen the pistons a little bit. Okay. Are you ready? Let me do the right one. Yes. Okay. Now we're going to see if it's going to react to water. Yes, it reacts to water.
Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts at Nico-Tech. We really appreciate from our long partners in making the Exploratorium. I think the Bay Area loves you. Marina has a couple words, maybe about what's happening at the Exploratorium with your work.
Just to remind you again that on July 7th, the BYO-based, which is, again, that Theo, you shared the ratio of the legs with others, so other people can make their own creations based on your work. So it is part of this idea of reproduction. So we're encouraging you to try to make your own creatures and bring them to Exploratorium. After dark, July 7th, adult only.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.